Good evening, my lovely, lovely people. So, today we are doing a live stream because it's a big day and there's a heck of a lot of news about the Reform Party to cover. It's all happened in one day, all the momentum is behind them, and Nigel Farage is edging closer and closer to number 10. Now, this is a live stream, and which means I've got the opportunity to engage with your comments and see what you guys think. So please get your comments in. Any questions you've got for me about my thoughts, tell me what your thoughts are. I want to see, do you think Nigel Farage genuinely could be the next Prime Minister? Or do you think, they'll pick up a few more seats at the general election next time, but we're still going to be stuck with Keir Starmer and the Labour Party? So we've got a few. We'll run through the news and then we'll take a look at some of your comments. So let's take a look at what is going on, ladies and gentlemen. This is a really, really big day and a heck of a lot going on. So we've got the Bookies betting on PM to be the next, betting on the PM to be the next Farage. It's not what I meant to say. Betting on Farage to be the next PM. That he's had a huge increase in that. We're going to also be looking at the huge new defection that has come after this news, and I expect it is as a consequence of this news in the betting markets that we have a huge new defection to the Reform Party. We had Andrea Jenkins last week, which was a huge moment for the party, and we've had another huge defection from the Conservatives today. We're going to look at that, and all on the same day as all of this, Nigel Farage has just hit 1 million followers on TikTok. Really, everything is just going in their favour. It's a very lucky day for Nigel Farage and his Reform Party. So let's take a look at what the bookies have to say about Nigel Farage's odds of becoming the next Prime Minister. It's quite astonishing how quickly these have changed. So this is from the Guido Fawkes article. They've had a look at what William Hill have to say about his odds of becoming the next Prime Minister. And William Hill think that Farage has a 27% chance of becoming the next Prime Minister. And that's very significant because it was at only 20% just a week ago. So let's think about what's happened in the past week. Reform hit 100,000 members, huge milestone. Turned out that 100,000th member was Andrea Jenkins. She defected. That was a huge defection, really started to show them as a very serious party. And I'm sure you'll see much more people switching, as we have seen another huge defection today, which we're going to talk about, so stay tuned for that. We have had Elon Musk rumoured to potentially be thinking about a $100 million donation to the Reform Party. I'm not 100% sure if that is true, but Elon Musk clearly is behind him and supports what he is doing, and that has really shown that Reform is serious and it's drawing a lot of attention their way, and more importantly, drawing a lot of supporters and voters their way. Now, you might say, well, 27%, that's less than 50%. That doesn't mean he is going to become the next Prime Minister. It means it is unlikely. But if you compare it to Kemi Badenoch, it starts looking a bit more serious. So let's have a look at Kemi Badenoch's odds. So Kemi's odds of becoming the next Prime Minister are only 33%. So that 27%, pretty close to 33%. So now the Reform Party are starting to look almost as likely as being in office at the next election as the Conservative Party. That is quite something. And it's only 2024. We're talking about 5 years' time. Think how much damage the Reform Party can do to the Conservatives and how much momentum they can build over the next 5 years if they play it right. This is huge. We've also got these bookies saying that there is a 25% likelihood of Starmer leaving office in 2025. That's only next year. So we could see another leadership election in the Labour Party, get rid of Keir Starmer and swap for someone else. I'm not sure whether I want that because I'm not sure I want David Lammy, Angela Rayner or Rachel Reeves as Prime Minister. So they're all pretty terrible. And there's a 39% chance he will not remain as Prime Minister after 2029. Now, so that's comparing to Kemi Badenoch's odds. She is on 33% chance of becoming the next Prime Minister, whereas Nigel Farage is on 27%. I really don't think it will be long before he overtakes, to be honest. But I just want to also compare that figure to the election of Nigel Farage in his Clacton constituency. Zia Youssef, after we had the news today, he's put out this tweet and he says, betting markets now price a 30% probability Nigel Farage will be the next Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. So he's saying 30% there. The one we've just looked at says 27%. Not sure if he's rounding or another source has said 30%, but still, it's roughly around 30%. And he says, just over 6 months ago, they priced a 30% probability that he would win his race in Clacton. Reform has unprecedented momentum in British politics. So, it clearly shows you that with a 30% chance of winning, you really seriously can get in, because that's what they said his chances were in Clacton, and he won it. And you know how it is with these betting markets and with polls and whatnot. I think just like how you have the silent Tory, you've now probably got the silent Reform voter, and so they might underestimate his chances. I think that the way things are going, it's starting to look really, really quite likely that Nigel Farage could be Prime Minister. But tell me in the comments, I want to know what you guys are saying, and we will get to those after we have a look at the defections and the other news. Do you think he seriously could be our next Prime Minister, and what does he need to do to get his party to that point? Tell me in the comments what you are thinking. So now let's get on to the big news that came after this, which is the defections. Yes, that's right. So we had Tim Montgomery, who is the former advisor to Boris Johnson and the creator and editor of Conservative Home. He has defected to the Reform Party. Now this is huge. The man who was with the Conservative Party for 33 years and set up Conservative Home. Some of you may be readers of Conservative Home. Let me know in the comments if you're a reader of Conservative Home. And this site has a heck of a lot of readers. You know, it's like Unheard and various other sites doing journalism, just not in a physical printed newspaper. But that site supports the Conservative Party, hence the name Conservative Home. The articles that they put out and their readers read are, generally speaking, supportive of the Conservative Party. If the person who founded this website is now switching to Reform, is it going to stay Conservative Home? Is it going to be called Reform Home? Or is it going to stay Conservative Home? But actually, the writers on that site and the articles going up actually support the Reform Party and start drawing over all those Conservative Home readers over to the Reform Party. If that is the case, you could see another huge flood of members heading over to Reform to sign up and voting for them in the elections. Obviously, we've got a long time till the general election, but we're going to have, you know, various local elections and whatnot along the way. We're going to have elections in Scotland and Wales in 2026. There's still going to be a heck of a lot going on in 2029 where we can see what happens at the polls with the Conservative Party. So this is huge, and obviously this comes after that huge defection of Andrea Jenkyns from the Conservative Party to the Reform Party just last week. I did see there are some articles up in the news today saying that Labour are going to be investigating this. They're clearly very salty because they believe that Andrea Jenkyns was bribed to join the Reform Party. I reckon that's all absolute rubbish and Labour in a hissy fit, but let's see what happens. If it does turn out that she was bribed, then that could be quite a damaging scandal for the Reform Party, so fingers crossed that that is not true. Now, this all comes when we're looking at the odds of Nigel Farage becoming PM. Obviously, how well the Reform Party does depends not just on how well they organise themselves and how well they get their message across, but it also massively depends on the incumbents, the Labour Party, and the Tory Party, of course, as well, failing to please the public. And Keir Starmer, well, we've just had this story out about him today. We've got unpopular Keir Starmer faces disaster as he crashes to a catastrophic minus 32% approval rating. I mean, how appalling is that? He is very, very, very quickly becoming extremely unpopular. I mean, I don't know what they're thinking. They're in number 10. It's almost as if they are trying to just piss everybody off. First of all, the winter fuel payment. I mean, how stupid was that? Did you not think that was going to make people angry and upset with you? They just thought, pensioners, they don't vote for the Labour Party, we'll just let them freeze, let them die. You think Brits were going to put up with that and just ignore that? No. And then the farmers, huge protest of farmers, absolutely livid about what is going to happen to their farms because of Rachel Reeves's policy. And, I mean, they barely even acknowledged the protest. They didn't even really bother to sympathise with the problems that they are facing at all. They just get out their fact sheet, which is, oh yeah, only about 2 farms in the UK will be affected by this. They have shown that they are just completely and utterly detached from reality, and that is showing. And let's just think about charisma as well. Charisma matters as well. Nigel Farage, I don't need to play you a video of Nigel Farage giving a speech, because I think you all know he is pretty charismatic and he really gets the crowd going. Keir Starmer has, of course, shown us with his Christmas light turned on just how amazingly charismatic he is.
Could you please join me when I say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yay! It worked. Nervous moment there, but it's all good.
Oh God, I mean, it's just horrendous. That is your Prime Minister? That is the creme de la creme of talent, apparently, in the Labour Party? I mean, he's as boring. It's as boring listening to him as watching paint dry. I mean, it's just unbelievable. So that is the main news for the Reform Party, but we've got one more piece of news before we get to your comments, and that is the I don't need to go back to this page. It is because I've got a video for it. We have got the news from Nigel Farage about what is happening with his TikTok, and I think this just makes it a fantastic day for the Reform Party to have this as the cherry on top of it all as well. Take a listen to Nigel.
TikTok, I'm a relative new boy, but I've just gone past 1 million followers, so huge thanks to everyone that's done that. Most of them young people, not all, but most of them young people. I think because Reform is catching the mood, very much so. And my way of doing it is a combination of serious messages, but lots and lots of fun too.
So there we go. Nigel Farage has, on top of being put massively ahead in the polls today, and on top of having a huge defection from the Conservative Party today, he has also hit 1 million followers on TikTok. And, you know, it really shows that it's not just, you know, those old pensioner typical Tory voters that are switching to Reform, as some may think it is. No, the young people are massively behind the Reform Party. Well, obviously, as a young person, I can speak for myself. A few fine lines appearing on my forehead, but I am still only 24 years old. And also, it's not just going to be Tory voters that they are stealing seats from. Reform are going to absolutely steamroll the Labour Party in the Red Wall. There were 90-something seats, nearly 100 seats, where, I can't remember the exact number, where the Reform Party came second to Labour. They are potentially going to take all of those nearly 100 seats, or close to nearly all of those 100 seats, off of the Labour Party at the next general election. But anyway, let's take a look at your comments, guys, and see what is going in. I'm not amazing at multitasking, so I have not been able to monitor them whilst I'm talking. So bear with me whilst I pull out some of your comments. Let's see. Oh, thank you to Gobbletron. Nice hat, Miss Dobbs. Thank you. You know, it's after 1st of December now. We've got to get in the Christmas spirit. I wanted to get a Christmas tree to put behind me, and I went to the shop and saw a very nice one yesterday. That's got all the lights built in. It's a fake one, but I haven't got the time for a real one. And then I went back to the shop to pick it up today, and they'd all been sold. So I don't have a Christmas tree for you today, but I do have a Christmas hat. But let's have a look, more importantly, about what you guys have to say about what's going on with the Reform Party. So here we go. My Santa is getting in the way of your comments. It's quite frustrating. Let's move Santa Claus a little bit higher up so he's not in the way. The more Tory defectors he lets in, the less attractive Reform becomes. Okay, interesting. So I've been here talking praises about the big defections we are seeing from the Tory party to the Reform Party, but Bill has got a different view about it. So let me know, guys. Do you think it's putting you off Reform, these big defections? I personally think they need to be a bit careful about who defects. You don't want unpopular Tories who people dislike moving across, because you don't want the Reform Party to become the Tory party. You don't want it to be completely filled with ex-Tories. But I do think that, on the other hand, it does start to show this is a party that people are starting to take really seriously and genuinely think could make big waves and could win the next general election, because these Tories would not defect if they did not think it was a serious party. I'm wondering what you guys think about Suella Braverman. Would you welcome Suella Braverman to the Reform Party? Because, you know, we personally find here at Reasoned that, at least from our observation, that our viewers like when we put out content about Suella Braverman. You guys seem to really like her, but obviously there are some people who will say, well, she was in power as a Home Secretary whilst there were migrants just arriving at our shores every single day, and she wasn't able to stop it. Now, she clearly set out in her resignation letter that she was doing absolutely everything that she could to stop it, but that the Prime Minister Rishi Sunak was blocking her proposal. So she says that the Tory party failed, but she was doing absolutely everything she could, but they were blocking her and they weren't realising what they needed to do. So I personally think Suella Braverman, I'm not sure if she will move, but if she does, I think that Reform voters would personally like it. But if you think otherwise, let me know. Now, Colin, he's got something to say about what's happening across the pond, Trump and Elon. So Trump and Elon will push Farage to be first past the post. Bring it on. So yes, obviously we've got these rumours of $100 million donation from Elon Musk, which I no doubt has added to that big boost in the betting markets. Is thoughts about Farage. Obviously, this $100 million is not confirmed, but I think just the rumours about it itself has really put a lot of momentum behind the Reform Party and made people feel like they're serious and help their popularity. Let's have... Oh, so we've got Elizabeth is not very trustworthy of Tim Montgomery. She's Tim Montgomery, because apparently he called the party, the Reform Party, worse than crap not so long ago. Are they sure he's not a Trojan horse? Should we trust him? I personally think there are a lot of people who thought that reform was just a joke not that long ago, and the situation has actually changed very, very quickly in a few months. I think that today, seeing that 27% chance of him becoming Prime Minister, I think this is one of the first days where I actually think he has a genuinely high chance of becoming the next Prime Minister. In the past, I thought it would be amazing, but it's unlikely. I will fight for it and I will support them, but I thought it was like a pretty high bar. I thought it was a pretty long shot. I think now it's actually starting to look like a reasonable prediction to say Nigel Farage is going to be the next Prime Minister. Let's have a look at what... Oh, we've got someone has said absolute knob in the chat. Someone said twat. I hope that you're not referring to me, and maybe you're referring to Tim Montgomery, and maybe you're not a fan. Let's see what else we have here from you guys in the comments. Reform are 90s Tories. Tories are 90s Labour. Labour are 1800 marks. Trying to do the timeline for that in my head. Elizabeth has something to say about Suella. She says, if Suella defects before Christmas, I'd be happy that she and all the others should be blocked. Supporting a failed Tory party until the last minute is opportunistic. Okay. Ben Habib has obviously just, over the past week, he put out a video saying why he is no longer associating with the Reform Party. His concerns are mostly constitutional. He wanted the Reform Party to be democratised. So at the moment, Nigel holds 9 out of 15 shares in the party, i.e. 60% of the party. It is a limited company. Ben Habib claims that it was promised to him that they were going to democratise the party, make sure that the membership are in charge of the party and hold the shares in the party, and that hasn't happened yet. And so he has moved, but there are a lot of people who have a lot of respect for Ben Habib. Also, he pointed out their ideological differences between them on Brexit and Northern Ireland, and that this was a bit of a sticking point for him. So I don't think it's too bitter. I think there are just fairly reasonable reasons why he disagrees with Nigel Farage on the direction of the party and he wants to move. Interestingly, though, I was worried that that video that went out by Ben Habib might damage the Reform Party and people would actually recognise, oh yes, Nigel Farage said he was going to democratise the party and he hasn't done it yet. He's just he's just power hungry and wants to make money out of the party or something like that. But no, it doesn't seem to have harmed him too much. But I think there are still a lot of people out there who have a lot of respect for Ben Habib. What have we got from Pocket Rocket? Pocket Rocket says, Farage and the rest of Reform UK are playing a very good game. They need to be left to get on with the job in hand. Have a look at Katie Hopkins' video explaining about being under the same umbrella. Okay, so you're saying Reform UK, they just need to keep going, need to get on with what they are doing. I think that the Reform Party, they do need to get on and organise the party. They need to create structure. What they've managed to do with a really small team is honestly absolutely incredible. To get the number of votes that they got, to get 5 MPs when they actually had barely any money and just a handful of people on their team was genuinely incredible. But now, if they want to be a serious party, they have got to create structure. And that was one of the other reasons why Ben Habib left the party, is because he was frustrated that he did not see that structure being formed. He's saying, where is your shadow cabinet? He did an interview here for Reason and he says, where is the shadow cabinet? You've got the 5 MPs, sure, but you need, your shadow chancellor, someone in charge of each policy area, devising the policies, showing that you're a really serious party who is actually ready to step into number 10 in 2029. Now, look, I think the Reform Party, the election was really not that long ago. They're finding their feet. They're still, gaining a huge amount of support day by day. They've got a huge amount of momentum. I think they're very busy and they're just trying to hold it all together. They've got until 2029, obviously sooner rather than later, for them to get organised, create structure, get more money in, get more people in, get the right structure all sorted. Shadow cabinet, as Ben Habib has said, that is all a good idea. But, I don't think it needs to all happen overnight. The main thing is that, I think just them putting out clips online of them talking in Parliament, asking hard-hitting questions, showing that they are serious MPs, them tweeting the right things and whatnot. I think these are all kind of the most important things at the moment, so just keep on garnering support. Organisation is important, but as I say, I don't think it needs to all happen overnight for sure. Let's Lee is giving a little bit more of slack to Suella Braverman, says ECHR was also blocking her. We had, please do go and listen to, there's a clip that's been posted from our podcast Wednesday last week where we spoke to a guy from the Centre for Migration Control, and he's got all of the stats. He's, top dog on this. He knows exactly what is going on with illegal migration. He's the expert, and he said there is not really any feasible way that we will get this problem under control if we do not leave the ECHR. And that's my worry with Kemi Badenoch. She's not committing to leaving the ECHR. So she makes some good, strong points at PMQs and puts Keir Starmer in his place, but I'm not sure that she is serious enough about migration. Collie Dog says mass deportation is a must. So this is also one reason why Ben Habib's left the party. Ben Habib is worried that Reform are sanitising themselves and, trying to make their opinions sound a little bit more middle ground and a little bit less hard line so that they can appeal to voters more in the middle. But he says, the Reform Party, they need to stick to their plan that anyone who is in this country illegally must be deported. They must stick to that. That's what Ben Habib is saying, and he doesn't believe that they are going to stick to it. I don't know if it will be as easy as Reform makes it out to deal with the illegal migration problem when they get into office, but I think that if anybody is going to be hard as nails and fight to the death and not worry about what people think of them and not worry about not being called a racist and all of this stuff that puts the current government off actually doing the right thing, I think that they are the right people to do it. And I think that their tenacity and fiery nature as MPs so far, as we've seen from the questions they've been asking in Parliament, as we've seen from what Rupert Lowe has been doing just this week, I think he's done a fantastic job on pressurising Angela Eagle, who is the minister in charge of deportations and border control, insisting that she gave the figures that she has kept from us about illegal migration and crime. You know, we still don't know what the relationship is between illegal migration and crime because they will not tell us. They're holding the information from us. He's doing a great job of insisting that we get that information given out to us. So, had a look at some of your comments. So obviously some people will have joined the stream late. So before we finish, let's just have a little quick recap of what has happened today in the Reform Party, because this is a really, really huge day for them. So we've had the Bookies saying that Nigel Farage is now on a 27% chance of becoming the next Prime Minister. That's up from just 20% a week ago. And just to compare, Kemi Badenoch is on a 33% chance of becoming the next Prime Minister. He's closing in, and no doubt it will not be long before he overtakes. And just to put that into context, we had Zia Youssef also notes that he's on roughly a 30% chance of becoming the next Prime Minister, and 30% was the number, the odds that were given to Nigel Farage of winning his seat in Clacton. He did it, he won it, so that suggests he could do it in terms of entering number 10 and becoming our next Prime Minister in 2025. Is starting to look serious, and the defections from the big defections from the Conservative Party are starting to make it look serious. The big news today is that Tim Montgomery, former advisor to Boris Johnson and the creator and editor of the big site Conservative Home, big news site with lots of opinion pieces there that a lot of people read. If Tim Montgomery changes his support from Conservatives to the Reform Party, and that is reflected in the opinions that are put out in the articles on their website, that could potentially sway a lot of Conservative voters to switch over to Reform Party. And Keir Starmer's approval rating at the same time as all of this has crashed to a catastrophic -32%. It's looking like territory where resigning territory. It's getting close to it already, shockingly. And also the other big news is that Nigel has hit 1 million followers on TikTok. Anyway, thank you all for tuning in. Let me know what you think of these live videos rather than the pre-recorded ones where we can get you guys involved. Do you prefer them? Let me know what you think in the comments. And Darren's got a word for you guys. We want some help with fundraising.
My friends, if you're still watching, thank you very much. And I've got a request for you. Thanks to viewers like you, Recent UK, we're on a roll. We're standing up to the woke brigade and championing British pride, especially for the next generation. We're one of the only voices out there that are actually targeting young Brits, seeking to wake them up from this lefty fog and reminding them of what it means to be British. And here's the deal. I want us to go further than that. I want to see Reason take on the mainstream left-wing media, a dominant culture here in Britain. We're aiming to expand with more presenters, with hard-hitting documentaries, with live events, with crash courses, the lot. But for that, we need you. We're picking one day to fundraise for this next level project, and that's where you at home come in. We're asking if you'd sign up to share our fundraiser link with your friends and networks on the big day itself. It's a small ask with the potential for a massive impact. Plus, the top fundraisers, you'll bag yourself exclusive goodies and a chance to meet some very special guests, VIPs. More importantly, you'll be standing with us, rallying young Brits to the values that make this country great, as much as the left try and destroy it. So if you're in, click the Google form in the description below, drop in your details, and I'll be in touch. Cheers very much. Let's make it happen together.